Idea? How about that? Courtesy. How about that? All right. I like that. Courtesy is a virtue.
He got some things back. Oh, you talking about doing? Yeah. I could. Yeah, that. Yeah. If he was getting that much, he would. Yeah.
Candidates, use your table.
I'm going to over here. Yeah. So we got a larger theater, but a smaller stage. And it's dealing with it. So we get going in a couple minutes. Understood.
All right, welcome everybody to the Athens mayoral debate hosted by Drew Abney and
I'm going to press record in a minute.
all right, he's going to hit record. I'm Russell Edwards. Thank you so much for coming and attending. All right, great.
All right, this is ATHChat. Yeah. We are now recording.
We're now live.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everybody for caring. To start things off, we're going to play a little rock, paper, scissors to decide who's going to sit where and who's going to get the first opening statement. So, Mr. Denson and Dr. Gant, if you would please. Let's
So
do
it's
the
1, 2, 3,
You're
shoot.
just doing out of one or best of the three? Just one?
just one for
just
now.
one.
Oh,
Just
for now.
follow our lead. Okay, 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right. 1, 2.
Okay, go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay. Tim prevails.
On to the next round.
On to the next round. Okay, Mr. Fisher and Ms. Zuniga. Ready? Set, go. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, Ms. Zuniga, you prevailed. Okay, Mr. Denson versus Ms. Zuniga. On your mark. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, Ms. Zuniga. Ms. Zuniga will be in this first position. Mr. Denson will be in the second position. Hold on. And now for the consolation right here. We have ready. All right. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay. Mr. Fisher will stay there. Dr. Gant, you will be in this position. Okay, there we go. Hey, it's fair, right? Okay. Hey, give a round of applause. Fair play, right? Okay. Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah. All right.
I'm not sure what all that was about. So we can take a chair away and then we do it again and keep going?
No. All right, great.
The ordering matters.
Okay.
So, right.
Hey, Russell, how you doing?
Doing great. So the reason we did that was to kind of get our format going here. Ms. Zuniga will start off with her opening statement and we will go down the line. Dr. Gant will get the last opening statement. Then we will begin by asking prepared questions. We previously provided general topics to each candidate. And we will start with the first question with Ms. Zuniga. Then each candidate will answer it in turn. And then we will start with Mr. Denson for the next question. And then we will start with Mr. Fisher for the next question on down the line. And then the real fun part starts towards the end where each candidate gets to ask another candidate a question.
Just one question.
Just one question.
To one candidate.
To one candidate. And then we will have closing statements, which will begin again with Ms. Zuniga, Mr. Denson. You see, this rock, paper, scissors was important. Okay?
I'm
right.
a believer now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get started with the candidate opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. And just like the first debate, we'll grant rebuttals when people are called out to try to keep everything going in an interesting fashion. So, Ms. Zuniga, your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Quisiera darles las gracias a mis amigos que acaban de venir esta noche, los hispanos, que están participando conmigo. Gracias por venir. Okay. I would like to welcome you and thank you for coming because These past 4 years that I've been involved in the community, this is what it's about. It's seeing community come out and listen to the candidates and you being involved. Because back in 2022, we had 80,000 registered voters and only 22,000 people came out to vote. Think about that number. But I want you to understand also that this is a nonpartisan race. If anybody talks anything besides what issues are affecting this community, that's just basically to politicize and divide. So hopefully we stick to the issues. I'm running because I'm, like most of you,
15
very
seconds.
tired. I'm tired of the status quo. I'm tired of the same recycled, repackaged elected officials that keep running and being put into the same positions and no changes. I look back at 4 years when I ran before and I'm
5
still
seconds.
running on the same platform issues. So I'm running to make changes and to bring a fresh, different perspective.
Thank you,
to
Ms.
Athens.
Zuniga. All right.
Okay, Mr. Denson, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Denson. I'm running for mayor of Athens, Clark County. Very happy to be here and see such a packed room. I am running because I am the candidate here with the most experience. I have been working in local government and doing community organizing for the last 15 years, serving on many important government committees, including Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, for the Envision Athens Vision Committee, of course, school board, county commissioner. But I'm also the only candidate here that has a bold, realistic platform to make Athens more affordable, specifically by tackling housing costs, because the rent and housing costs in general are just too damn high, and for making sure that childcare is more accessible to more families. And the last big piece of my platform planks is tackling homelessness, so we can reduce homelessness here in Athens, Clark County, which is what I've been doing as a day job for the last 3
10
years,
seconds.
successfully getting families and individuals who are experiencing homelessness on the streets instead into housing and having productive lives that can help Athens, Clark County. I look forward to discussing all of that and much more with y'all here today.
And Mr. Benson. All right, Mr. Dexter Fisher.
Thank you and good evening and thank you for being here. I am Dexter Fisher. I'm running for mayor of Athens because I believe in calm, principled leadership, and the power of working together. Athens has been my home for the last 37 years. As Commissioner for District 5 and Mayor Pro Tem, I work across political, generational, and economic lines to make thoughtful decisions that move our community forward. I believe leadership means listening first, building consensus, and always acting with integrity. My career in education, administration, and public service taught me the importance of public safety, youth opportunities, sound fiscal stewardship. Athens deserving mayor who understands this community. Respect the people, lead with collaboration rather than division. Audrey and I are proud parents of 3 adult kids. We got 5 grandkids. I'm ready to serve and I'm excited about the future that we can build together. Also, this was supposed to have been date night for me and Audrey, so I had to change our plans to do this, but I'm glad to be here and we're glad to be here. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Fisher.
Okay, Dr. Letitia Gant, you have 1 minute.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Just a little bit about me. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 4. I am a sister. I'm a daughter. Also partly a caregiver with my other siblings. I am a servant of this community and I'm a native of this community. I have witnessed the beautiful parts of Athens and they have shaped me in beautiful ways, but I also have witnessed the challenges that we continue to face. Unlike many people in politics, I did not start here. As a little girl, I did not want to be a mayor. Okay, I did not want to be in political leadership, but I found myself here. And I believe now more than ever, with the issues that we continue to experience, we need not only bold leadership, we need leadership with clarity,
15 seconds.
and we need uncompromising leadership. And we need people, you need a mayor who is not far removed from the everyday struggle of regular people. I believe that I am that person. I believe that
5
collectively
seconds.
we can make Athens a better place.
Great. Give a round of applause for all the candidates. How about that? Put themselves out there. All right, on to the questions. We'll start with Ms. Zuniga. Housing is certainly an issue that is a big problem in this community, with a record level of vacancy rate among rental units, most recently measured to be 3.2% vacancy rate. There's no competition among landlords. Costs have skyrocketed. The status quo is not working for housing for our residents. What do you plan to do as mayor to make housing a priority and to provide housing for folks who want to live here? Thank you.
I tell you, housing is very important to me. My parents grew up in poverty and they were always at risk to being homeless. When we arrived in New York during the 70s, it was a time when there was so much poverty going on that 9 people to rent an apartment was not easy to get. We had problems finding homes. I dedicated 25 years of my life to getting people homes through home ownership programs. So this specific topic, I'm very passionate with. I do believe that I bring experience, because when I was in business at the age of 19, my family and I, we began to buy buildings that were burned in New York, and we began to renovate and make them affordable housing. But we realized that some people could not afford, so we began to build businesses around the area to create jobs with affordable wages that people could afford those properties. So I do bring loads and loads of experience in my background to establishing home ownership and job creation in areas that are normally dilapidated.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Zuniga. All right, Mr. Denson, housing, a big problem in Athens, 3.2% vacancy rate, skyrocketing costs. How would you make housing a priority as mayor?
Yeah, thank you for having this question right at the front, because we have a housing crisis here in Athens. As I said, below 4% vacancy rate here in Athens, Clark County. To put that in perspective, the state of Georgia is 10% for the state. So we are well below what the state average is here. And because of that, like right now, 2012, when it comes to rental units, 2012, there were 4,665 vacant rental units. Right now, if you look it up, 850. Massive difference there. And because of that, over the last 6 years, Terry Business College, they stated that the housing costs have increased by 61% over the last 6 years. And I think we've all experienced that, no matter if you're a renter or a homeowner. So there's a lot of things we've got to do, and there's a lot of things that we can do. Whenever I was on the commission, I served on the mayor's inclusionary task force and actually helped write the inclusionary housing policy that we are now using to bank millions of dollars to be able to create affordable housing. We need to be utilizing that. We need to be using our land bank authority to be able to use properties that we can then turn around for subsidized housing. And we just need to be creating more diverse, dense housing that we can have here, so we're able to increase the housing stock, but also increase the amount of affordable housing we have here.
Thank you, Mr. Denson. Mr. Fisher, housing status quo is not working for Athenians. What would you do as mayor?
Well, first of all, people need to understand, we in the smallest geographical area in the state of Georgia, got 159 counties. So everybody asks, where are we going to put these houses in? And that's an issue. We got 3 entities in this county that provide affordable housing. Athens Housing Authority, Land Trust, and also Habitat. Thank you. Those 3 entities serve for affordable housing. Now, what we need to do is get with developers. I call that missing middle. Some of these young people can't get housing. We got to think outside the box. We got to talk with developers, look at the land that we own, see what type of tax credits that we can give them in order for people, the young professionals, to get housing. Because we can't continue to put housing density into neighborhoods, because neighborhoods are not going to accept that. I've seen that over the last 4 years. We try to stuff housing into neighborhoods, established neighborhoods, we're going to get rejected. So we got to be ambitious about what we're looking at, and we got to be smart about our growth when we're talking about housing. It's not an easy subject. It's not going to be done overnight, but we got to be smart about what we're going to get housing at. I'm the one who can get that solved. I can want to work with these developers to make sure we have more housing into our housing stock.
Thank you. Dr. Gant, housing, 3.2% vacancy rate, not enough units out there for folks looking for housing. What would you do as mayor?
We need to prioritize affordable housing. And by affordable housing, I mean affordable housing communities. Based on the information that we have, because we have a lot of information, 58% of renters in ACC pay more than 30% of their income. So that's one issue. The second thing is that we have an affordable housing investment strategy that has laid out a good bit of the recommendations for us for our local housing fund that was referenced earlier. But we need money for that local housing fund. I believe that our first priority needs to be coming or approaching our partners like the University of Georgia, who are not a part of our tax digest, and asking them to help us fully fund our local housing fund. If we continue to piecemeal a local housing fund, then 10 years from now, we're going to continue to be having the same conversations over and over as costs continue to increase. $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, that seems great, but it is not enough. And the more that we delay that, the less money we have to actually create affordable housing communities.
Great, thank you. Next question.
All right. Mr. Denson, this is going to go to you first. As Russell and many of you all talked about in your answers to the last question, estimates of growth in Athens, Clarke County are pretty interesting and alarming in some ways. We can make a strong bet that the county will be growing in the next 10 years and rapidly. My question to you is this: as mayor, who will you be making policy decisions for? Is it the person who was born in Athens 50 years ago? The person who moved here 5 years ago and is raising a family? Or that person who is hearing about how awesome Athens is, maybe going on Zillow, and thinking about moving here?
Well, the thing is that if you're a mayor here, you can't be siloing those decisions. If you're somehow trying to make a decision only for one small subsect of people, you're setting yourself up for failure. The thing is, like you said, if you look at, again, Terry College Business, their economic forecast, the state of Georgia's economic forecast, we are going to be seeing growth here, pretty large growth. And if we say, well, we're not going to prepare for that, we're only going to take care of the people who are already here, you're actually hurting the people who are already here, because some of those people, including UGA students, are still going to come, but you're not going to have that extra housing stock. So they're going to be competing with all of us in this room who are already here for our housing stock, making the rates go higher, making your property taxes and your assessments go higher, and actually hurting everyone. So it's a complex issue. We're going to have to be able to prepare for all of those things. And so that's why the future land use map is so important. Our new zoning that we're coming up is so important, and that we need to get these things on the books and start working on them, because that is what's going to guide our growth. The big part here is that we need to make sure that when we're having this growth, it's not hurting those people who are already here, and instead we're supplementing what's already here.
Mr. Fisher, you have one minute. As mayor, who will you be making decisions for?
Again, I agree, Mr. Denson. We just can't be in shallows and make decisions for any particular group. However, when we make those decisions, we got to be smart about making those decisions. First of all, you got to have sewer and water in order to make those type of decisions where you're going to put housing at. We have an infrastructure problem that nobody wants to talk about. We got a sewer and water issue nobody wants to talk about. And we got to deal with that issue right now. As part of our future land use, we have not even did a service delivery plan. And we're supposed to do one this Tuesday at our work session. But I would not support any housing growth. Matter of fact, I'm looking at doing a moratorium once I become mayor. I'm not looking at any type of housing growth till we answer and deal with our sewer and water issue. We got a crumbling infrastructure system. Our water system is great, probably one of the best in the country. But until we can deal with that, then we have to look at growth. And like I said earlier, there has to be a smart way to look at growth. You just can't stick housing anywhere, especially if you don't have an infrastructure in place to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Dr. Kent, you have 1 minute. As mayor, who will you make policy decisions for?
As mayor and as in any positions that we're in, we are expected to make decisions for Athenians. And that includes Athenians that are here, Athenians that are unheard, Athenians that vote, Athenians that cannot vote, Athenians that are not well represented, and those that are represented. And The problem is our government has not done that. We have not always reflected the diversity of families and communities that we have here. So I think it's imperative as mayor, I will make decisions based on the community needs. But let me also say, there's a community of people here in Athens that are hurting, that are unheard. We have an aging community here. A significant portion of our population here is over 65. We have a youth population that's underrepresented. We have a veteran population. Their voices are often left out. And so individuals who are unheard, they are important to this conversation as well. While the goal is to make decisions for everyone, we have to include all of those voices.
Thank you, Dr. Gann. Ms. Zuniga, you have 1 minute. As mayor, who will you make decisions for?
I don't think anybody answered that question, quite frankly. Especially Tim, because we are in silos. We have to recognize that we are in silos. I mean, we can't be just representing the small group of people that we constantly reach out to. I think part of the work that I have done is go out to the different communities and ask them what are their needs, because we need to go out to the communities and ask what they need. I don't think that I have seen anybody really go from community to community. You would see them, you know, and that is part of a mayor's duty. A mayor should not just be going out golfing to UGA or protesting with their groups on the street. You gotta roll up your sleeves and you gotta start talking to the businesses in the community that are providing the jobs, to the people that have those jobs and find out what their needs are. You have to go to those meetings where the planning is happening to hear when communities come out in droves to discuss about why they don't want a certain development to happen in that area, and then you go out to those communities and ask those questions. That's what you got to do as mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Benson, you were called out. You have 30 seconds if you want to rebuttal.
Thank you. And I'll double down. You can't lead as a mayor in silos. You have to represent everybody. You have to serve everybody, even those who didn't vote for you. And that's the way I've always operated as a commissioner. I started having monthly town halls. It caught on. A lot of commissioners are having regular town halls now. But I had over 40 town halls while I was commissioner for 4 years. I'm gonna be doing the same thing if I'm elected as mayor. And right now, talking about going out to the communities, I personally have already knocked on more than 500 doors in Athens, Clarke County while during this campaign. My campaign has already knocked on about 4,000 doors. I guarantee many of you, I already have. If I haven't, I'll be knocking on your door talking to you.
All right, thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Fisher. Road safety, 14 deaths on Athens roads last year, 32 the year before. We have a road safety problem in this community, and it takes many, many years. It has taken many, many years to do something about it. 23 years for a bike lane on Prince Avenue, 17 years to connect the Greenway through Oconee Hill Cemetery. How would you make road safety a priority as mayor?
First of all, this community has grown tremendously, Russell, over the last 30 years. You know, when I moved here in 1988, there was 25,000 students at UGA, 7,000 people in this community. It has doubled now. We got 130,000 people in this community, 40,000 students at UGA. So in order for us to deal with, again, and we got to understand, and I've said this before, we're the smallest geographical area in the state of Georgia out of 159 counties. But we got to figure out how do we make roads and bike safety and pedestrian safety work together. We got narrow roads. We don't have opportunities to build those things because how we do our T-Squash projects and our Squash project is terrible, and we can't get things done because we don't do them in the right way. So it's important that we study what we got, take a look at what we got, and make sure that we put the right infrastructure in place where cars, bikes, and pedestrians can work together
15 seconds.
in order to get through town, because it's difficult. And one thing I want to mention, I have talked to UGA about eliminating cars for freshmen.
All right. Dr. Gann, road safety, I think every parent is a little paranoid when their child goes out and about in the world in Athens on a bicycle or walking. How would you make road safety a priority as mayor?
Russell, I know you mentioned that every parent is concerned, and as a parent, I agree. I'm going to also say that as citizens, we are concerned. When I drive down a road and there's no sidewalk, it is alarming. And we still have places that are very busy places, and we don't have sidewalks. And so I think at some point, I know that we still have to prioritize and tier how we are going to build our transportation infrastructure in Athens. But I believe, just like with everything, it's a priority. And if I can't walk safely from my house to Walmart, or if I cannot travel safely from, a place on Lexington Road, then we are missing the mark. I think we have to first start with what is priority.
10 seconds.
And those would be, first of all, our pedestrian safety. I think we've done a very good job at ignoring that. And quite frankly, I hear people up here saying all of the things that they've done, but we're still in the same place. We're still in the same place after 40 town halls, after people serving on the commission. And so that tells me we need someone different to move these solutions forward.
All right. Ms. Zuniga, 2 people were struck and killed crossing the street next to the Classic Center last year, and in about 2 months, the commission built a new curbing and pedestrian island. So sometimes these projects happen very rapidly. How would you make road safety a priority as mayor, and what's the holdup? Why does it take 2 months to get a curb by the Classic Center, but 23 years to get a bike lane on Prince Avenue?
Well, I tell you, one of my biggest concerns when addressing this is always about money. You need money. Where are you going to get the money from? Urban 3 study, and I hope that all of you go and look at Urban 3 study. It studies high density, but it also gives you insight to the infrastructure deficit that we have, which is $30 million. That's just one item that we're in a deficit for. $30 million per year. That's $60 million 2 years. So my concern when it comes to adding new programs, which we desperately need, and that is in reference to safety, that is a priority, but we need money. So we have to see first how we address the infrastructure deficit that we have, how we can look at the budget and see where we can cut from, because folks, I really don't think that raising your
15
taxes
seconds.
is the option.
Thank you. Mr. Denson, no matter whether you walk, ride a bike, or drive a car, we all want the same thing: fewer cars on the road. How would you make road safety a priority as mayor?
Yeah, we need to expand it, and as that question, Mara brought up good statements. We need funding, it's a priority, but we're not gonna raise taxes, so how are we gonna do it? Right? How? Well, we gotta find new revenue then, right? We have to find a way to pay for it. That's why I'm actually working, not just saying, hey, this problem, what are we gonna do? I'm bringing you a solution to what we can do. We create an inclusionary parking policy that I'm talking about, in which we have developers who are building developments. Instead of building unnecessary parking spots that aren't going to be utilized, they can bank that money and put it into a fund that will actually pay for a multimodal system, or not trains, well, I'd like to train too, Athens transit buses, crosswalks, sidewalks, bike lanes. We can actually have a new revenue source specifically dedicated to these things that we're talking about that are drastically underfunded. We have to find a way to do this. And it's true, we haven't done enough, but we are doing things. Again, I campaigned on getting zero fare public transit in place so that our low income folks who rely on the bus can get by work. We have zero fare public transit now in place. And I worked with people to actually get T-SPLOS projects for Jefferson Road, Lavender Road, Vincent Drive, and Jefferson River Road that have funding now.
1 second.
But we need to find a way to actually get them
30
implemented.
milliseconds. Thank you. All right. Next question. To Mr. Fisher.
Dr. Gant, sorry.
Again. I'll take a note with you.
We'll get back.
All right, this will go to Dr. Gann. Anyone want to respond? So immigration enforcement has become one of the most controversial issues we're facing as a nation. But this is also a local issue. Cities across the country are having to figure out quickly in what capacity they will provide support to federal immigration officials. Here's the question. As mayor, how would you approach the relationship with federal immigration officials, like ICE, if they become a larger presence here in Athens, Clarke County?
Only 60 seconds.
Well, how about a minute and a half?
Okay.
You all get a minute and a half.
And so I do know that there has been legislation as it relates to our sheriffs participating with ICE. Let me say this, however. The climate that we have now nationally is inhumane. It is dangerous. And it sends a message to our local immigrant community that they are not welcome, that their needs are not important, and that they are not a part of our community. We just had a question about who do we make decisions for. We make decisions for everyone that's here, and that includes our immigrant communities. And we have to be very clear that although the sheriff may have to cooperate with ICE, that does not exclude us from being bold. That does not exclude us from saying you are welcome as a part of our community and that you belong here. And it is very discouraging as leaders and as elected officials that we silence ourselves and we prevent ourselves from standing up for communities that are often unheard, that are scared right now because of the limitations that we perceive. So your question regarding how do I approach that, like I would approach anything else, validate the humanity of our immigrant community.
Thank you. Ms. Zuniga, you have a minute and a half. I'll repeat the question. As mayor, how would you approach the relationship with federal immigration officials if they become a larger presence here in Athens, Clarke County?
I think this is an excellent question, appropriate for me, who I am an immigrant. I think this is a two-part question, a two-part answer for me, because number one, there's the legal aspect of it. Back in 2023, the city manager had a letter out in which he had a research done, and the city said that this was not a sanctuary city, and it did not have sanctuary policies. And why that is important is because when you're not, then you have to oblige by enforcing those laws. That's number one. Number two is my personal views as an immigrant. Now, we have all seen the images in the news and the performative politics that goes on by the left, far left, and the far right, which is meant to divide and scare people. But at the end of the day, we're dealing with these issues with human beings, and we have to deal with it in a very compassionate form, because there's too many undocumented immigrants who experience violence and sex crimes from
One second,
criminals
Ms. Zuniga.
who are ICE.
One
who ICE is
second.
trying-
Would somebody please silence the phone there? Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
I get an extra second?
Yes, you got some
You
extra
interrupted
seconds.
me.
Go for it. Thank you.
I float.
You can start over if you like. I'm sure.
No, I was just saying that the optics are really affecting all of us, Sometimes we don't know what to believe on the left or the right, but who is really affecting are the undocumented immigrants that are in communities and are actually being affected by criminals that are doing crimes to them, and these are the ones that ICE has to look for, right? So sometimes they're scared to report these violent crimes, so they suffer in violence. So the community needs someone like myself who can speak the language, go out there and break that misinformation and look for ways where we can work with the police department to try and get those criminals out of this area even before ICE would have to come here. That's what we have to do.
All right.
As a reminder, please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Mr. Denson, the question for you. As mayor, how would you approach the relationship with federal immigration officials if they become a larger presence here in Athens, Clarke County? You have a minute and a half.
ICE has no place here in Athens, Clarke County, and I have actively worked with my fellow community members to try to alert people when they have been here, because they have been here. They've been here in Athens, they've been in Madison County, they've been in Oglethorpe County, they've been in Oconee County. They're doing these things here, maybe not at the same level, but actually the state of Georgia has the 4th highest number of ICE arrests in the entire country for a state. So we have to have leadership that is very clear. And some of these answers up here today have not been very clear. It has to be very clear. ICE has no place here. And if I am elected as mayor, there is no way that my administration is going to work with ICE to help them come in as masked individuals, terrorizing families, breaking up families, and dragging them out of their homes. And the thing is, they're actually working against their own efforts. As it was talked about, they actually create terror. And so whenever you do have somebody who is in the undocumented community, who is violent, you have those people around who know who that person is and what they're doing. They're not going to go to law enforcement and tell on them because they are scared for themselves.
15 seconds.
So you're actually creating a cycle that's actually hindering what is supposedly the point of ICE. Well, of course, I think we know that ICE is actually being utilized by our federal government right now to actually create fear and divide and terrorizing. So, very clear answer. ICE has no place here. I will do everything I legally can to stop them from utilizing anything here in Athens County.
Mr. Fisher, you have the last answer here for this question. A minute and a half. As mayor, how would you approach the relationship with federal immigration officials if they become a larger presence here in the county?
Well, first of all, I think we have to address the issues and make sure that our immigrant population is not terrorized and not scared to do the job. Because when I look around this community, when you have houses that are being built, we have grass that's getting cut, that's mainly our Hispanic community. So if we deport those folks, who's going to do these jobs? So it doesn't make sense to me for ICE to come in, deport our residents from here, and then we don't have jobs that can get filled. Now, for me as the mayor, I want to make sure that we protect the citizens and the residents of this community. It's important to me that anybody that's here, they feel protected, they feel safe, they know that this government will support them in all forms and all factions. I always talk with our sheriff's department and our police department pretty much once a week, because I want to know, is ICE coming to our community? I ask the question every day. At least twice a week, I talk to the sheriff's department, I talk to the police department. So it's critical and it's important for me. I want to know to make sure that our immigrant residents are protected, and that their due process is not stepped on. So I would support our law enforcement at the same time. I would support the residents, our immigrant population in this community.
Thank you. All right, so that's the end of that question. Let's shake it out a little bit. Give a round of applause to the candidates here.
All right, next up, Mrs. Zuniga. Along with our housing problem is a problem with homelessness, the unhoused population. And there's a lot of rhetoric in this community about how Athens for years has been a magnet for homeless folks, that this is a hub for services, that maybe we do too much to help people, and so they come here seeking help. I want to ask you about that rhetoric and how you approach the problem of homelessness as mayor. And then another aspect of the question is, we mentioned earlier in housing how the status quo is not working. Some of you mentioned changes to our policies or zoning. Is there one zoning policy or planning policy that you would prioritize to change as mayor to help create more housing and to help attack the homelessness problem? Thank you.
Well, first, let me say that when I look at the homeless population, I always keep in mind that these are our neighbors. You know, these are people that are in their worst situation. I cannot even imagine not having the protection of a home. So they're not numbers. I don't look at people as numbers. I looked at them as people. I went to Bigger Vision and I asked them, have the numbers gone down or what do they look like? And they basically told me the numbers are going up. And sure, I've heard the rhetoric about, you know, being a hub, but the fact of the matter is people are being dropped off. That is a fact. I asked and they said it is a fact. There are more people being dropped off. Now, because we have these services that people can come and use, now, we have a huge heart here in Athens. I see a lot of boots on the ground people serving and doing for a community that keeps rising.
30 seconds.
So what we really need is the funding. We have the heart, we have the hands, we just don't have the funding. So what I look to do first and foremost is to find out if the people that are being dropped off, their communities, these surrounding counties, we can get them to contribute funding, and then there would be no problem because we have the hands and we have the experts here that we could sit down and work out, whatever problem we need. But we really need to do the funding. We go back to 4 years, 8 years of homeless situations and housing crisis, and we are still in the same status quo. It almost seems like people don't want changes.
5 seconds. Thank you. All right, Mr. Denson. Is Athens too kind of a community? Should we be meaner so that fewer homeless will come here? And what zoning policy would you recommend we change to increase housing?
All right, I gotta tackle these. I'm sorry, that's just too much to fit into 60 seconds. So I'm gonna focus on the first part.
No, yeah, I'll give you, Ms. Zuniga had about 1:45.
Okay. So first and foremost, over the last 3 years, I've been working at the Crisis Walk-In and at the Homeless Day Service Center, directly interacting with these unhoused neighbors, learning their stories, listening to them, and helping them get housed very effectively. I have helped and worked with dozens of families that we have got into housing. And the thing is there some folks who get dropped off here? Sure, a very small percentage. And so what puzzles me is why at City Hall and other places, we constantly talk about that small percentage, but we just don't talk about the 85, 90% of the people who are from here in Athens who are experiencing homelessness because housing costs too damn much and they're being forced out of their homes. We have hundreds and hundreds of evictions. That's why I worked diligently to get an eviction prevention program passed and passed it unanimously, in which we've actually kept over 400 families in their houses instead of getting evicted. Those are the kind of policies we need to put in place if we're going to reverse this. And I was just last week, I participated in the point in time count. For those that don't know, HUD requires every single county to do a literal count over 24 hours of how many people are experiencing homelessness in the city, in that county. I've done this for the last 4 years, getting out there, talking to folks, interviewing them, knowing where they're from. Seriously, such a small percentage, it's about 15% or less, are being dropped off or coming from somewhere else. These are our fellow Athenians, and they don't deserve to be unhoused. We need to find that funding, and we talk about funding, but we talked about, not funding answers. So I want to be working to have a collaborative government model that we've seen in other communities where we work with the state, UGA, the hospitals, which are paying tons of money into this, TBHDD, so many other entities, the school district, where we pull together not only our funding, but our resources and our work together so that we can tackle this problem and we can reduce chronic homelessness here in Athens by 50% over the last 10 years.
30 milliseconds. All right, Mr. Fisher. So is Athens just too kind? Do these homeless folks need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps?
Well, a couple of things. Mr. Denson talked about funding. Well, during the COVID, this community received $57 million of federal money. You all had the opportunity to deal with the homeless situation and the housing situation. You didn't do that. You squandered most of the money that came from ARPA. So we could, you sit here and talk about what we could have done, but you didn't do it. What I say about our homeless population, first of all, we do have a serious homeless situation here. People are dropped off, and they dropped off more than the percentage that you're talking about. You go to Bigger Vision, talk to people at Sparrow's Nest, people are constantly being dropped off in this community. And if you all don't know, House Bill 62, it's illegal to drop people off in our community. It's illegal. What I would do, first of all, write a letter to all our surrounding elected officials and say, if you're going to drop people off, you're going to send some resources, or we're going to send them back to your county and you take care of them. It should not be the responsibility of the taxpayer in this community to take care of folks that come from other places. I believe that our people that live here, the residents that live here, we need to take care of those individuals. And then nobody talk about our schools. We got over 100 kids in our community that are homeless. Nobody talk about them. If I have a priority, I'll make sure that the children in our school system and those families will get housing first. When nobody talks about them, talk about people that's on the street, but don't talk about those kids that are in our school system. So the money was
10
there,
seconds.
you all didn't use it, so now this is where we are.
All right, I'll give Mr. Denson a rebuttal there, little call out there.
Sure, thank you.
30 seconds.
And honestly, part of it's just a not understanding how the state works. We are the region for a 12-county area and receive money from the state of Georgia through DBHDD and through DCA. That those other communities, those other counties, it is their money. But we receive it here in Athens, Clarke County because we have the hospitals. They don't have hospitals in Oglethorpe County. Because we have the shelters. They don't have shelters in Madison County. Because we have the behavioral center. They don't have a behavioral center in Jackson County. The state of Georgia gives that money that is due to those people and gives it to Athens, Clarke County that we fund those programs. So we are getting that money.
5 seconds.
And again, you can go and talk to as many people and knock on the door every once in a while. I work with
2
these people and
seconds.
talk to them as people, know their stories, talk to them,
1
and I
second.
know the stats and data too.
30
Please, if you're going to say that
milliseconds.
I'm wrong, please
20
cite your data.
milliseconds, 10, all right.
Can I respond?
Yeah, 1 second. If you're, there's a tripod back there live streaming this, so anybody who's having private conversations by that tripod, everyone in the county is listening.
We're getting a text.
All right, so
we can hear you.
moving right along to a counter rebuttal from Mr. Fisher. Go ahead, sir.
But the question
20
was,
seconds.
The question was, with the $57 million that we received from ARPA, you had opportunities to deal with the homeless situation and housing, and it didn't happen. So that's what I'm saying. I understand about we get money from other regions. I understand that. But the bottom line is you sit here and talk
10
about
seconds.
what you all gonna do, what you didn't do. So I'm talking about the $57 million that we received. You could have dealt with housing, you could have dealt with homelessness, but it
5
didn't
seconds.
happen. So
All right.
we had to bring up the rear in order to try to deal with
2
these things
seconds.
now that you guys squandered.
1 second. All right. Dr. Gant, homelessness, a problem here in this community. Some folks say we're just a hub. We need to quit being a hub. How would you address it as the mayor?
A couple of things. So the point in time study that was referenced earlier, it shows us a variety of different pictures of our community members that are experiencing homelessness. 289 individuals were surveyed during that one particular night. And we know based on that there was a significant amount of people that were fleeing domestic violence. Many people had been homeless for less than 6 months. Now, there were still other circumstances that were there. And we had over half of those individuals that reported experiencing a significant disabling condition. We are not talking about people, I know we hear sometimes, well, they're homeless because they want to be homeless. We are talking about people who have experienced some of the worst challenges. And to be quite frankly, many of us are about a paycheck or two away from our housing being impacted. So a couple of things that we need to do. One, we need to strengthen our relationships with organizations right now
30 seconds.
that are caring for our unhoused community. We've also had individuals that are part of our unhoused community that have passed. And often they pass in silence. No one cares. Our community doesn't care. Secondly, we need wraparound services for our homeless and unhoused
10
communities.
seconds.
You can't address the physical space without addressing the underlying causes and contributions to what that person is experiencing. And so I do believe that we have to be intentional about the wraparound services that we
2
provide
seconds.
to our communities.
Well, thank you. Did you answer that question? Ms. Zuniga? Yeah, Ms. Zuniga.
She's the first
So
one.
She's first one. Started. All right, it's just so fascinating.
You're going up first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're dealing with a lot of
Got a lot of stuff going on.
randomness here. Yeah. Okay. Carry on. So, Mr. Dempson, this is going to you. This next question is about our relationship with the county's largest employer, UGA. Okay. So UGA is the largest employer in the county. Occasionally, there are complaints that UGA doesn't pay their taxes that could benefit our county, or their fair share of taxes. Yeah. On the other hand, private student housing provides a majority of housing for students and also provides a sizable tax base. As mayor, will you work to increase or decrease new student housing developments?
Honestly, we might not like it, but we're going to have to increase the amount of student housing. There is, right now in 2025, 32,399 undergrads. On-campus resident hall capacity is 8,240. So that's a difference of 24,159 undergrads who are having to live in our community off campus. 24,000 people. And they have been increasing the amount of undergrad enrollment every single year. And so I get honestly worried when I hear people talk about that they're going to put in place a block on building any new housing in Athens, Clarke County, while UGA is planning on bringing a few thousand more students next year, a few thousand students again the year after that. Where are those folks going to go? In your house? Right? They have to go somewhere, y'all. And if we're saying we're not going to allow any more housing to be built, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We're also setting ourselves up for increased housing assessments, which means increased property taxes, which means increased rental rates, all of these things. And we're going to eat all of that. These students come through, and they get the Hope Scholarship, they're doing all right. And, and we even talked about, it was brought up, eliminate cars for freshmen. It's a great idea. But then I'm curious why Commissioner Fisher has voted against having bike lanes on North Avenue and stuff like that. Whenever those students need to be able to get to campus and they're not going to have a car, are they going to be walking illegally on the road and getting hit again on Thomas Street? So
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Fisher, would you like to respond, or would you just like to answer?
I answer the question. I respond to him. I deal with him later. So a couple things, and I'm gonna push back on student housing stuff. We're overbuilt on student housing, y'all. Don't make no mistake about it. We're ready to build a 1,400 bed student housing right near a community center. We're gonna have a parking deck right in front of that community center. We don't need more student housing. I talked with a developer yesterday who told me that y'all talk about vacancies, we got student housing vacancies. And what students do, they move to the newest, shiniest building when they get built. They move around. So don't sit here and tell me that we need more student housing. And when I'm talking about moratorium, I'm not talking about forever moratorium because you can't do it. It's illegal. I'm talking about doing either 90 to 180 days. We got to get a handle on our beds, on our inventory, and what we got in this community. We can't continue to build student housing. And then you leave out our residents that live here. So UJ is only going to grow 1% per year when they look at student population. They are building more dorms on that campus. Again, having that conversation with them. I spent 30 years on that campus. I understand how things work over there. And I'm the one to get the job done to make this thing work for all of us.
All right, Dr. Gain, a question to you, and you'll have a minute and a half. As mayor, will you work to increase or decrease new student housing developments?
We have a problem with student housing. We have a problem with student housing. And people that tell you we have to build, we have to continue to build, and continue to build, and continue to build, then when do we stop? We know that Athens, Clarke County is one of the smallest counties in Georgia already. When do we stop? And so the more student housing we build, the more implications that has for our community. Taxes go up. Neighborhoods are impacted. I just spoke with someone this morning while canvassing. They were talking about the Atlas, that big monstrosity on Lexington Road. Wonderful, yes, because it is able to house students, but then we don't see the stories of the people who are left to deal with the issues in their neighborhoods. Many of these individuals have been in their neighborhoods for decades, and they are experiencing issues of something being, a neighborhood being clear cut, just come in, knocking down all trees and saying, but the person is gonna, have a few affordable housing units, and they're gonna contribute a little bit to the local housing fund or inclusionary zoning, which is still optional, and we're still in the same place. We have to push pause It does not mean that we can't eventually develop, but let me tell you, people who think that increasing density for others outside of our tax bracket is a solution to our housing problem, I'm telling you, they are incorrect, they are wrong, and they do not understand the needs of everyday people.
All right.
All right, Ms. Zuniga, you have a minute and a half. As mayor, will you work to increase or decrease new student housing developments?
I'll give you some time to rebuttal later. Because interestingly enough, you'll notice the three minorities up here were pretty much in agreement with this. Student housing is a problem. If you go to the minority communities, they're being displaced, and we have to find a balance. Sure, UGA needs, for student housing, but when you start throwing data around and numbers, you're going to hear a lot of information here from people throwing numbers, but are they really going to solve the problems by throwing data at you? You need someone to go out and have dialogues. This is what we don't have. Sometimes, people don't like to sit with people because of their ideology. They're Republicans, they're Democrats. You got to sit with everybody. You got to sit with people who have expert knowledge in these fields. So I'm telling you, this is a problem for communities that are being displaced. You go out there, sure, some people just live in their bubble, right? They go play music and they drink wine with their little friends and discuss the books they read about, displacement and the philosophy and all things. But in real life, when you go out and you talk to people, this is a problem affecting the minority community.
Thank you. Mr. Denson, you've been called out once again. You have 30 seconds for...
Hey, when you're popular, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have to be, we do have to be smart about it. But again, this idea that somehow we're just not going to build student housing, when again, we know even if it's 1%, we have students coming here and we're not building the units for them. So again, the question is, I would love to hear my colleagues up here say something. Where are they going to go then? And so yes, we need to. I am in favor of us creating a student overlay district. I pushed for this back whenever we were working on the inclusionary housing policy, and I met with the planning commission. This is something we possibly could do, which would then incentivize student developers to build closer to the university in certain areas where we would then say that's where the student population and the student housing should be. At the same time, we do need to be creating overlay districts to protect historic black communities like East Athens so that they are not continuing to shoulder that gentrification.
Here on ATHChat, we like to keep it spicy.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gantz, would you like to say something? You were raising your hand. You have 30 seconds.
I just wanted to sort of highlight this question of where are they going to go? Where are we going to go?
All right.
Where are we going to go? And I think when we can switch and reprioritize those questions, where are people who are on fixed incomes, who are working 2 and 3 jobs, who are in these naturally affordable homes is what our affordable housing initiative investment strategy refers to. Where are we going to go? And also the idea of building close to the University of Georgia. We have a lot of gentrified neighborhoods in this radius.
Okay,
and so even the idea of building more student homes in communities that have typically and historically been occupied by marginalized communities is pretty insensitive.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher, we're just going all around here.
Yeah, I like to follow up, and thank you, Dr. Gann. She's right. When I talk to the residents in inner East Athens, they feel like they're getting pushed out. They get pushed out by students. Again, when I moved here in 1988, you never saw any students over in inner East Athens. Never. You go over there now, they're a stone throw away from there to be. So they're pushing those residents, and they feel that. I hear that all the time. We feel like we're getting pushed out of our neighborhoods. And that is just unfair to those residents that live there. We got to do better by the people that live here. Students will always survive, but our residents are most important to us and to me as the next mayor.
All right.
Can I respond to self called out again?
Yeah, 15 seconds.
Dr. Canton.
15.
And so yes, I agree. Where are we going to go? I mean, that's a great question, but again, there wasn't an answer put with that. We need the answers. And that's what I'm pushing for. Again, I brought up an overlay district. I brought up an overlay district specifically for East Athens because we need to protect those communities so that they're not shouldering, because they have been. We've been seeing the student populations move there. And we need to stop it. So we need to have an overlay district that are protected. But again, we have to have answers to this question. We all know the questions. We need the answers. And that's why we're hiring a mayor.
So this next question coincidentally flows right into what we're talking about currently, infrastructure and density. So, which is a great question for mayor. This is clearly within the authority of the local government. Now, from the Federal Reserve numbers, in 2022, the median sales price of a home in Athens was $171 per square foot. In 2026, $221 a square foot, a 30% increase in median home cost in 4 years. In Austin, Texas, the numbers went from 266 down to 236, an 11% decrease. Minneapolis went from 183 to 198, just an 8% increase. Both of those other municipalities enacted zoning reforms attacking what some of you mentioned, the missing middle, right? We have large-scale student housing complexes, and then we have single-family homes. We're missing the middle. Both of those municipalities enacted missing middle, which allowed up to 3 dwellings per lot, like an accessory dwelling unit, and they also ended parking minimums. Here in Athens, we haven't made any of those changes. We've had a 30% increase in housing costs. Meanwhile, it takes an act of Congress to put a bedroom over a garage here. So again, I ask, what specific zoning change would you put forward? I've heard moratorium, some other things, overlay. What specific zoning change would you enact, maybe something what these other places did, to help attack this housing and density crisis in Athens? Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. And again, our zoning laws have not been changed in over 30 years, which is terrible. Our past government have not done a very good job to keep up with that zoning here. That's why we've got gentrification over in East Athens. I think for me, first of all, there's a lot of smart people in this community. I think what we would need to do is get together some of our real estate folks, some of our bankers, and figure out where we would put housing, and then how we get that missing middle. Give you a perfect example. The housing authority right now got Savannah Heights. They got 11 vacant lots there. They can build all 11 of those homes right now for $2.5 million, $180,000. That's single family home. That's generational wealth started building. So those are the type of things that we need to look at. Again, where we got available land, where we can offer tax incentives to our developers. You know, again, we want to make sure they also make a profit, but at the same time, make it affordable where young professionals that missing middle is missing, they can move into those homes.
Thank you. Dr. Gant, status quo is broken. Home median sales gone up 30% in 4 years. What specific zoning change do you support to help attack that problem? Because what we're doing now is not working.
A few things. We need to have more flexibility with our accessory dwelling units. We need to be more creative. I don't think there's any reason that we cannot build homes, small, tiny homes, just because they're going to have a particular type of wiring or for a kitchen. Okay, these are things that we can enact now. In fact, the mayor and commission can do that now. And so that is one of the things that I think is critically important. I also think that we have to look at our zoning as it exists. Right now, depending on where you are, that is going to determine how many residences can be on your actual land. I think we need to have more flexibility with that. We have a lot of multi-generational families. We have people who, yes, we have a lot of people that move here, but sometimes we have people that their parents may relocate here. They may have to care for a parent or a loved one. It's no reason that they should have to jump through 10 hurdles and wait 5 years and then wait on a new mayor to be able to actually build a small home
5 seconds
on their own land.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mann. Ms. Zuniga, some of the most desirable places to live in Athens are neighborhoods with garden apartments, duplexes, triplexes. It would be illegal to build them today. what zoning changes specifically do you propose to attack this absurdity?
I would wait on those zoning changes until I get into office. Because quite frankly, I think the problem again lies in how much availability we have for doing things. When I've spoken to developers, right, we're putting so much weight on the small developers to construct things, and it's really expensive for them. So you can't really build affordable housing right now. You really just can't, you know? I mean, enforcing situations like Tim says, zoning, parking funds for, that just adds to the building costs for builders. So what happens is that they can't build here. So we get big corporate builders to come here that don't even have a stake in our community, building like crazy, and putting the prices that they want. So we really have to go back to the grassroots type of business, And I'm that type of person that I have spoken to builders, small builders, to find out where the hurdles are for them. Before we even start tackling zoning things, we have to sit down with the professionals. And I don't mean people that get put into boards from banks. I've been there, I've been to the meetings where people put bankers and big corporate people who have no stake in our community to make decisions for us. So my answer is, we don't tackle zoning yet. We sit down with professionals and find a solution.
Thank you. Mr. Denson, accessory dwelling units failed by one vote on the commission a few years back. What specific zoning change would you put forward and share with us today, and how would you, with the votes, to get it passed?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of them right there. I helped write that policy. And so we need to bring that back. We need to have accessory dwelling units, and specifically do what they've done in Charlotte, North Carolina, where you also incentivize them to rent out that accessory dwelling unit at an affordable rate for like 50-30% of AMI, and in exchange they get some of their financing charges waived. So we need to be very creative with that. Other things, inclusionary housing policy. Whenever I was on the inclusionary housing task force, we were tasked to actually write 3 different inclusionary ordinances. One for mixed residential in downtown, which we did, and is being successful. We're also going to be doing one to help with home ownership, with actual houses that were being sold to actually be kept. And the third one was for single family rentals. Those other 2 policies still have not been done, so that's another 2 things that I would tackle. Yes, we need to also tackle on housing size, and parcel size. Right now, you can't legally build a tiny house. So we need to be waiving that. We need to pass the missing middle ordinance, which the planning department has been putting forward for years now, and it hasn't been taken up. Again, we have very inconsistent things being set up here, where we're talking about we need to have density or something like that, but then also talking about like, we're going to have a housing moratorium. So we have to really trust the data. I'm being damned here because I'm actually using data to inform my decisions. But we need to do that if we're going to know what the problem is and be able to come up with solutions for that problem.
Milliseconds. Great.
All right. Next question, the most exciting one, taxes. Dr. Gant, this will go to you. At the state level right now, House Republicans are working to have a proposal to eliminate property taxes by 2032. 2 questions about taxes. First, do you support the idea of eliminating property taxes? And second, if the state were to partially or fully by 2032 eliminate property taxes, what would you do as mayor to make up for the lost revenue?
Absolutely not. Okay. We live in a community. We are a collective community. And what that means is that everyone has to contribute their time, talent, treasure, whatever terms you use. Our tax dollars fund infrastructure. They fund the running and operations of our government. They fund our schools. So in my mind, this is another way eventually to defund our schools. But then at the same time, we'll talk about how the young people are joining gangs and they need some type of additional support. And so I don't believe that we can expect benefits from a community and not expect to pour into that community. And that is exactly what this bill is about. Yes, there are steps that we need to take to look at the taxes that people are paying, especially communities that are disabled. I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, with a group of veterans.
20 seconds.
Really exploring our options for our vulnerable communities and our communities that are experiencing poverty. But the idea of totally erasing taxes,
5 seconds.
to me, is not only selfish, but what it means is that you're willing to take from a community,
Thank you.
but you're not willing to give and contribute to that community.
Yes.
Republicans in the State House are thinking about eliminating property taxes by 2032. There's a nice figure that shows how that happens gradually. Do you support the idea of eliminating property taxes? And if they do, partially or fully, what would you do as mayor to make up that lost revenue?
Well, actually, I have to agree with Lakeisha. I mean, at first, when I heard as a homeowner, no taxes, it sounds very attractive, right? But as I started looking into it, I read that, you know, the taxes may be eliminated, but that the sales taxes would have to go up. And that's a problem. Also, the other problem that I read was that we would be more dependent on the state for our budget. And that would give less power over the local municipality over our decisions and hand it over to them. And I don't think that's a good idea, quite frankly. I think, you know, we can handle our own. We should start ordering our government, though. I think that as mayor, as soon as I would go in, I would like to have a clean slate and just look over where the expenses have gone. Because just like you Athenians, you know, I wonder where the funds go. And I would like to get an audit going, start from zero, seeing where things have been going, and starting with my administration, every dime will be accountable and transparent. But yes, I don't fully agree. I think there should be something gradual for people on fixed incomes or in poverty levels, but that not the way the bill is being drawn up.
Thank you. Mr. Denson, do you support the idea of eliminating property taxes? And if the state does in some way, how would you propose as mayor to make up this lost revenue?
I absolutely don't. They might have that chart showing how it goes up, but they don't have the chart showing how police and fire response time goes down equally. And just to inform the community on the audit, the state requires us to actually have a full audit every single year, and it gets done every single spring, and it's available on the ACC.gov website for every single year. But at the same time, right, this question, there are parts of our community that do need relief. That is why whenever I was on the county commission, I drafted the low-income homestead exemption that was passed, first one in the entire state, that would freeze property taxes so the assessments would not go up any longer for folks who are at 200% of the federal poverty level or below. Now, unfortunately, our state legislature screwed up the language, and they didn't have it where it increases every year with the cost of living. So that's actually being potentially drafted this year, which is really exciting. Honestly, what we need to be doing is still, when we have those property taxes, I would love, if the state didn't block us, for us to have those property taxes also based on the amount of income you have. Because if there is a family who's on a budget of an income of, say, $60,000,
15 seconds.
they should not be really getting assessed the same amount as a person who has annual income of $8 million. But they are right now. So that is really what's broken there, and I want to continue working like that low-income homestead exemption to find that. Plus, diversifying the amount of revenues we have. I want to create an entertainment district. I'll talk more about that.
Mr. Fisher.
I think
Sure. Yeah, we're going to do a 30-second rebuttal. Just Ms. Zuniga.
I just want to clarify the audit should be by third party, not by our own.
It is
So we're connected.
It is third party. What Washington does our accounting for us locally. So yeah, it's third party.
All right, thank you.
Totally different and unconnected.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fisher?
So I think all of us in agreement that, first of all, we don't want the state messing with our property taxes. I think on a local level, as local officials and our residents, we need to decide how we want those taxes spent. Now, for the last 2 years, we've lowered the millage rate as our commission. That has been done before. Can't get school board to lower their millage rate, but we lowered our millage rate. I agree with Mr. Denson. I would like to see a freeze on people that are 65 years and older. We would freeze their property taxes. And again, be based on their income. I think that's important that we do that and take a look at that, because I think our property taxes, like we use for our fire, our police department, for our roads, for all our infrastructure needs that we've been talking about here. So I would not support any type of property taxes that the state is trying to, take from us. These things should be handled on a local level. Let us make a decision as the officials to make sure that those dollars are being spent locally within our community and doing what it needs to do for this community.
Great. Okay, all right. Well,
Thank you.
That was great. A round of applause to the candidates again.
All right, so next portion of the program, the candidates will ask another candidate a question. And due to her prowess as a rock, paper, scissors champion, Ms. Zuniga, you have the floor to ask another candidate a question.
This will go to Tim Denson. Athens is made up of all kinds of people. You can't just represent your small group of Democrat socialists. And if you become mayor, you cannot continue to promote the us against them theme and expect people to support. There is only an us. In 2020, to disparage any opposing voices in the community, since the people of Athens want new elected officials to practice transparency, trust that has been lost.
You have 1 minute.
Yep. Thank you for that question. And as I was wrong. I went on the Tim Bryant radio show afterwards and talked with Tim on the show and said, I shouldn't have done it. The way I handled that was improper, and I shouldn't have done it. And I apologized, and I still apologize. Because it's true. I want us to be building in Athens for everyone. Now, my problem comes down when other individuals don't want that. I do struggle including individuals who intentionally want to exclude others. That's when we run into a bit of a problem. But I didn't. It was not my finest hour, and I regret the way I handled that. I do want to go back and talk about the revenues really quick, because I didn't get to finish. We need to be diversifying our revenues also, because we do have revenues going down, especially because of the new homestead exemption that was passed 2 years ago. So that's why the inclusionary parking, it actually drops the cost for developers. Instead of paying for 100% of a parking spot, they would pay 50% of what that would cost and put that into the transportation fund. So they save money, the community gets funding for transportation, and we get less unused parking spots.
1 second. All right, great. Okay, Mr. Denson,
Would you like a rebuttal, Ms. Zuniga?
15-second rebuttal.
Apology accepted, but with every apology, there needs to be action. Will you commit to visiting the Republican Party to include the Republicans and the conservatives when you're mayor?
Oh, okay. Sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okie dokie. Building bridges across the community. All right, Mr. Denson, now it is your turn to ask another candidate a question, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher, my question is to you. We've discussed how rents here today are way too high, housing costs going up by 30, 60%, depending on what number you look at. How is it that you're going to be able to really prioritize that when you have accepted tens of thousands of dollars from realtors and property management companies in your campaign, including accepting donations from developers who had planning items come before you as a commissioner, such as SimForge, which you did not divulge or recuse yourself, which is a clear ethics violation?
Okay, Mr. Fisher, you may answer that, sir.
Yeah. So, first of all, the people who have donated to my campaign, these were individual people who donated to my campaign. For SimForge, I had no knowledge of that, and if there is a ethics violation, I have not been contacted by the state ethics committee from that perspective. Every individual that donated to my campaign, I guess you got an issue because I raised over $100,000 in my campaign, but at the same time, those individuals that over the 37 years that I've been here, I developed a relationship with people. I think that's important. People trust me. They know what I stand for, and they know my integrity. So I got issues with that you question my integrity. So to say all that to say is, people support me. I've done the work in this community. I've been on the front line. And I want y'all to know something. When this mayor race is over, you take a look and see who you're going to see. People show up when it's time for election. I've showed up for 37 years for this community. Always will and will continue to do it regardless of what happens in this campaign. I'm always going to show up for this community.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Sure, 15 seconds. Rebuttal.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not trying to attack your character. I was just I looked at the contributions, and SynForge gave you $250. That was the first of 2 contributions on July 18th. You had a vote on a SynForge planning item on August 5th, 17 days later.
All right.
And you did not recuse yourself.
Could you tell me what that vote was on? You said I had a vote on. What was it about? What was the vote?
I cannot remember exactly what it is. But I had those dates in which, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go back and take a look. And if I did, I would have recused myself. But I like to know what that vote is. You know, you always talk about data. I want to know, what that was. I mean, you didn't like me because if I did that, I would have recused myself.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you. Next question.
Mr. Fisher, you've only been here 37 years. You're a newcomer. You have a question for somebody else?
Yes, I do, for Dr. Gant. I mentioned earlier about the school district have 18 meals because I spent 3 years there. Are you willing, as a board member, along with Mr. Denson, to take a look at lowering the millage to help how homeowners in this community for their tax?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Fisher. And so to answer your question, historically, every year we look at it. It's on our agenda. We discuss it. We look at the community, our schools' needs. A large percentage of our budget goes to instruction and the employment of teachers and support professionals. I'm never going to compromise on that. Okay, so if I have to choose between keeping that millage rate the same and being sure that our colleagues that teach our children have a job, I'm not going to do that. So we actually look at it every year, and we consider what is needed in our schools, what do our students need, and then we make the best decision. One of the things that is quite fascinating is that as a former employee of the district and part of the cabinet has always had the opportunity to use your influence and come before the board and say, this is where we are. We think we need to lower the millage rate. I've always had an open door policy with you, Mr. Fisher, and any of my colleagues in the board. And not once have you ever told me that I have concerns about the millage rate being what it is. And so while I appreciate the question, I am not going to compromise on funding our schools. There are too many efforts in place to divert funding away from our schools.
All right.
Can I respond?
Yes, sir. 20 seconds.
Thank you for that. And so, because I wasn't the superintendent, I did not come to you personally, but I did mention when Dr. Means was here, I talked to Dr. Thomas, we were looking at our budget. I said, we got some things here that we need to take, because I'm a homeowner. So I mentioned that to them, say, hey, can we taking a look at lowering our millage?
10 seconds.
And again, as board policymakers, you all make that final decision for that, but I did mention it.
2 seconds. All right. All right.
And also, since he implemented me in the question, saying Mr. Jensen.
Well, hold on. We'll give 10 seconds to Dr. Camp, and we'll give 15 seconds to Ms. Athens. Go ahead.
Yes, and so we do understand that there is a sort of standard operating procedure and how we go about the business of the school district. But you've spoken with me about other things. So if this were a priority for you, I believe that you would have come to me and said, Lakeisha, there is a constituency here, and this is what we have to do. And I would do what I do every year. Reach out to people that I have not heard from, look at the information and the data as presented, and look at the needs of our students and make a decision based on that.
1 second. All right.
Good
Mr.
job.
Benson, you have 15 seconds. Go for it.
Yeah, and there's also just important, we need to realize that the school district has a lot less revenue sources than the county does too, especially since our main other source is QBE, which the state of Georgia has not updated in 46 years. That being said, I put in a request for the last 2 years asking for the low-income homestead exemption to be created for the school district. I have put that request in again this year to our board president and board
5
vice
seconds.
president. I do hope that that comes up.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna have Dr. Gant ask her question, but before we do that, we're blasting through these topics, through the format, and we always had this in our back pocket. We did tell the campaigns that we might have the ability to open this up to the audience for questions. So, if you have a question for the candidates, start thinking about it, right? We'll have that, and then when we're done with Dr. Gant's question to one of the candidates, we'll go over that format. But we're realizing we have some more time before closing statements. So start thinking about stuff, and we'll get back to you. Dr. Gant, you can ask another candidate one question.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to see how I could sort of put all of this in one. This is for Mr. Denson. So, Tim, I've heard you talk about all of the things that you've done, and you've mentioned I. You have said that I wrote the policy for ADUs, although we do not currently we don't have more flexibility. You talked about putting in the request, okay, for our tax exemptions. You talked about working with the homeless communities. And oftentimes those are things that all of us have done as well. But I've heard you focus on and I've heard you really advocate for density. Oftentimes density that is not reflective of affordable housing. What I want to know is, how do I trust? You said that you were the person with the most experience. And if throughout your experience, you focused on you focused on the people that were in your circle, you have said trust data, and data often is not reflective of marginalized populations. How will I trust you as mayor to fully represent unheard communities, regular everyday communities, communities that are not even reflected in the data that you might refer to? How can I trust you to put our community, and I don't mean the community that's just sort of showing up and in your circle, but how can we trust you to put everyone's needs first?
All right, Mr. Denson.
Sure, I'm going to continue meeting people where they are. Again, I'm going to go into every single neighborhood, talk to people in every single neighborhood, listen to their needs, listen to what issues they're grappling with. I'm going to hold town halls as mayor in every single district. And not just for the folks I agree with. Honestly, I can tell you this, I think all of us in this, you go to a town hall, you're oftentimes getting the people who are most upset there talking to you. And I welcome that, very much so. And engaging with those folks there. There was a number of people, I can tell you, that have disagreed with me on things. And the way I like to operate is to sit down with those individuals, talk to them, find out where that common ground is, talk genuinely. I'm not going to just tell somebody what they want to hear. Talk genuinely and honest with the person, and again, find out where we can work together, and then where we can't, acknowledge that in a respectful manner and move forward. I am always most excited when it comes to policy when we work with the communities that are going to be most impacted by it. When it came to, I share this story all the time. When I was first with Athens for Everyone, we were going to push for that zero fare public transit policy first and foremost. But we decided we're going to slow down. We needed to. So we started riding the bus, interviewing folks on the bus, interviewing people at the multimodal center, going along the bus lines at bus stops, interviewing people there, asking them what their priorities were, doing surveys with them. They said Sunday bus service was actually the number one priority. And I wouldn't have known that without talking to those people. We wouldn't have known that without talking to them. And so we would listen to that. We pushed for that first, worked with those community, and got that policy passed. Same thing when it came with cash bail reform. Same thing when it came with our immigration resolution, working with those communities.
10 milliseconds. All right. Dr. Gant, rebuttal. 20 seconds.
I hear you saying listening, but at the same time, you have been an advocate, as evidenced by your vote, of a new 1,400 bed apartment or development downtown in the midst, the core project. You didn't, but at our school board, when we had to determine if we were going to swap land for the county,
10 seconds.
you were a supporter without any further discussion or consideration of the people that are within a 2 or 3 mile radius,
5
all the
seconds.
from North Athens to Newtown to Boulevard. You had no
2
consideration.
seconds.
And so I hear you say listen, but then I look at your actions when it comes to density,
1
and
second.
it tells me that you're not listening.
30
So how do we
seconds.
get around that
10 milliseconds.
and trust you?
So, okay, counter rebuttal.
The item that you're talking about was that accidentally a very small parcel on a deed of a part of a parking lot was still in the school district's name, while inadvertently, it should have been the county's name. So we were asked to be able to change that and hand it back over to the county the way it was supposed to do, but there was a scrivener's error that never allowed it. Yes, I did vote for that, because to hold a parking lot, whole parcel hostage, even if that core development didn't go through, to hold that whole thing
15
hostage so that
seconds.
nothing could ever happen except for have it be a parking lot, that's not smart leadership.
10 seconds. All right. Thank you. Okay, so this is the exciting portion of the evening where we can go out into the audience and we'll give each audience member a chance in turn to ask each member a question. So anybody have a question for Ms. Marzaniga? Just raise your hand. Okay, in the very back with the glasses, go ahead and shout it out there, sir.
So in the light of the recent anti-ICE protests and earlier the No Kings protests, we've seen a lot of people turn up, and we've seen that a lot of people and not just from UGA but all over Athens, and even
Get to the question.
so
Quickly.
okay, so how would you respond to how would you respond to further protests and listen to them as mayor?
All right, Ms. Zuniga.
Well, when I was young, I did a lot of protesting myself. That's why we live in the U.S. You are entitled to go out as a young person and protest anything you feel that is not right with you. And I applaud that. As a matter of fact, that opens conversation to our community. I would love to. I'm a great communicator. Anybody that knows me, I'm willing to talk about any topic. And it's not anything particular to anything, really. Whatever you wanted to discuss. So in regards to your question, how will I address that? I would welcome you. I would welcome your concerns.
30 seconds.
But as mayor, I want you to understand, as mayor, not even now, the last 4 years, have I involved myself in any group. Because as mayor, you have to represent everybody. So there are people that are for or against some things. But I do welcome the conversation with you about what is important to you.
Thank you, Ms. Zuniga. Okay, next up.
Well, who wants to ask a question to Mr. Denson? And I'm going to go to you, the microphone, right over here. Yep.
Hello, Mr. Denson. I heard you mention about wanting to increase the housing for UGA students. At some point, there has to be a cap. And, I mean, at what point do we put those caps? And not only that, there needs to be some type of collaboration, and there needs to be incentives. And so with that being said, we have surrounding counties. And so there are land in Oconee and Oglethorpe, Everton, and places like that. And so there needs to be a collaboration so that we can expand the housing that you're saying that we're going to need into those counties and incentivize them to be a part of collaborating with Athens Clarke County to make sure that, you know, because no new land is being created.
Okay.
So how do we do that?
All right. Mr. Denson.
Yeah, I think that collaboration first and foremost needs to start with UGA. I think our relationship, our town and gown relationship, has really devolved over the last few years. And that's why we end up with situations like, you know, UGA just putting the president's house on the market and not taking in any kind of accountability of what might happen to those communities, or Legion Pool and those things. But again, if there's going to be a cap, I would love to see a cap on how many students they're bringing in, and stop increasing the amount of students coming here so we don't have to. I mean, that I think is something we could work with, but if they're not going to do that, then that's when we have that struggle. Now, talk about working in collaboration with the surrounding counties, 100%. We need to be doing that more. One of the things that Athens Transit did, a few years back, which was really fantastic, is that they had their first intergovernmental agreement with Madison County. First time we've ever had another county outside of ours that we actually started running transit systems to, so that they could actually go to the Veteran Affairs Office and get into Danielsville. I want to see the same thing happening with Oconee County, those places. If we do that, then we could be connecting housing in those surrounding counties, Oconee County, like on Epps Ridge Parkway and stuff, to the university. And they could be taking the bus to be able to get there. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Denson. Quick addition there, Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, thank you. And there is a cap. There's a 1% cap enrollment per year at UGA. UGA do not want to grow to 50,000 students. A couple things going in. More and more students are getting degrees online. So they're pushing more online education, although we still have a number of students that want to come here physically.
20 seconds.
But they also are pushing more online degrees. They are being capped at 1%.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Okay, anybody have a question for Mr. Dexter Fisher? Yes, sir, with the orange cap. Project. Okay. We're coming to you. This is a theater.
Thank you all very much. I mean, this is aimed at all of you. Not one of you has mentioned the environment. The sustainability of our environment, the amount of land we've got, the amount of water we've got, the amount of air we've got, and you guys, the government in Athens, I've been here over 40 years, I've just seen growth, and nobody's paying any attention to the limits of growth. And I'm not saying we, exclude people or say the university you can't have any more students or anything like that, but you need to put a cap on this. And how are you going to do that? And there's very, very simple solutions. We've got a rezoning going on the east side at the moment where they want to cover up the top of Cedar Creek. Why? You clog the roads and so on. Why don't you build up in downtown Athens? Yeah. If you put people in Madison County or other counties, what do you gain? You clog the roads. Yeah. We need the people here. You need to build up, not sprawl out. And I want to see this county really, really start addressing the issues of water and pollution in people's lawns and so on.
Got it.
Get it so you're healthy.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Fisher. Build up, not out, no sprawl, environment, capping rivers. What do you think?
And that's a lot. And you're right. One of the things that I developed at UGA was our sustainability and what we did from an energy perspective, how we got rid of our trash, things like that. So I'm familiar with the environment and what we need to do as a community to make sure that our environment is safe. But again, I think when we look at all this building and what we're trying to do, that's why I'm so concerned about our infrastructure, about our water system, about our sewer system. Because we keep building, and we can't do that. Now, people have criticized me because I talked about doing moratorium. We look at a future land use. You can't have a future land use if you don't know what you're going to do with sewer and water and with the environment. What impact is that going to have on this community as we look at our future land use?
30 seconds.
So it's important to me. The environment is important, but at the same time, until we get a handle on the building, put a cap on those things, the environment is going to continue to be effective.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Dr. Gann, with an additional comment on that? Sure, go for it.
Yeah, I want to elevate conversations that absolutely have been happening. We have on parts of our community where their water has been tainted. When we look at our residents over in the area of Pittard Road, and I'm thinking of the church that's right behind Pittard, but just all over in that area, there have been steps taken to, I don't even want to say remedy, but we have long-term implications of that. We have blasting that's going on the east side. We have communities, a community specifically, that has no clean water.
30 seconds.
And so it is paramount that we keep communities, again, that are not here, that are not at the table, just because you and I aren't there, those conversations are happening. And we are, at least some of us, have been there and have been listening to ways that we prioritize the needs of those communities.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Ms. Zuniga, and then we'll go to Mr. Denson. Go ahead.
If you look at my platform, I do have a sustainability, some sustainability there you can look into. I've always worked since the age of 1920 with my husband on environmental hazards. That's what we've done for most of our life. For me, I also done mortgages, but alongside my husband, we have done sustainability. We live on a farm. I would have to say that probably I'm the only candidate up here that really tackles environmental issues on an everyday basis. I've also, like Lakeisha, have gone to the east side where there has been quarry problems, environmental issues. We have been vocal about it. We have taken it out of the county. We have won some battles there. But I am very proactive when it comes to sustainability in our county.
Thank you, Ms. Zuniga. Mr. Denson.
Yeah, just quickly, I very proudly was one of the commissioners that voted for the 100% Athens whenever I was on the commission. And if elected as mayor, even though we're facing potential budget threats because of the federal government pulling back funding, and also this is one of the things that we use some of those ARPA dollars for, that I definitely would still prioritize that so we can follow through the 100% Athens plan to get 100% renewable energy here for Athens Clark County. Same thing on the Clark County School District. We actually just adopted our sustainability plan last year, finally, and actually put in place a sustainability coordinator, got our first electric buses in place, and transitioning more in there. I also served on the Georgia Conservation Voters Board for a couple of years, working on the state level of trying to get renewable energy put in place across the state. And again, we need to be focusing on these things. Again, data centers is a big thing that's coming up here that we're having to face on. We have a data center ordinance potentially coming up next month that people should be paying attention to, because that's one of the biggest impacts where we could be seeing our energy being challenged, our water being polluted and overused. So it's being focused on, and we should actually there's going to be a debate in April that's going to be focusing just on that issue.
2 seconds.
Dr. Gann.
Thank you.
Because I do believe when we tell the story, we have to tell the full story. So as former president of the Board of Education, I set the sustainability committee. I determined that. Those recommendations came as a result of my leadership. That hiring of that person came as a result of my leadership. And so one thing we have to keep in mind, when you are mayor, generally you're not voting. You have to work very hard at building relationships across that governance team to move efforts forward. It does not matter all of these different ideas that you have. You need someone who has done that. I've done that, and a lot of the things that Mr. Denson named, they are a result of my leadership.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, final audience question. Yes, you've been patient there.
Can I try to stay loud enough or not?
My question, Dr. Gant, thank you first for being here. And I wanted to talk about Athens revenue streams and how much money we have, because there's been a lot of talk about infrastructure and things that need to be done. And it seems to me that we actually have, I'm talking about a question about revenue streams and how much money the county does have. And property taxes, obviously, our county's fortunate in some ways because there's a lot of tension here with UGA, and we have a lot of high properties that bring in a lot of taxes. We have our tax allocation districts, a couple that have been passed recently, East Athens, millions of dollars going to that. Our sales tax has got to be as high as it can be because we have East Lost, SPLOST, and then we had a lot of grant funds from around early in the 2020s.
Yes.
So my question is, are we spending where we need to be spending, and how can we improve our project management? Because it seems like some of these projects take forever. As a citizen, it's impossible to track these SPLOST projects and when they're going to be done, if they're going to be done. So that's my question.
Thank you. Dr. Gann.
Thank you for asking that question. And so, yes, we have all of these areas, like these streams of revenue. And one thing that happens on governance teams and in politics is that solutions get caught up in politics. And if you don't have a governance team that is strong enough, and you have a core that is strong enough to move forward with the solutions, right then it gets caught up. I mean, government is already slow anyway.
30 seconds.
And so you add new people coming on. You add people who maybe cater to people that have power. You add catering to people who have been in your immediate circle. You add performative politics to that. And before you know it, the things that were solutions they are no longer solutions. And I can give examples of that, right? We can talk about the TAD at the mall. We can also talk about the funding that was reallocated in the current commission from youth development. I think it may have went to workforce development.
8 seconds.
We need a governance team that is focused, that is not so engaged in politics that they forget the needs of the people, that can carry the solutions forward.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher, you have a quick addition?
Yeah, I want to add to what you talked about with our
20
Splash
seconds.
project, T-Splash. And I've talked about this. The way we do our Splash project and T-Splash is terrible. When I worked for the school district, and Dr. Gatt will tell you, we built 3 schools, a field house, and a track, under budget, on time. And the way we did it though, because we bonded these Splash projects to make sure that they came in on time and under budget. So what we do here in Athens, Clark County, we try to collect the taxes first, and as inflation continues to go up, the price have gone up, then you can't build nothing. Like the Tradition Center, it was a $70 million project initially. Now it's $180 million. It doesn't make sense of how we do those things. As mayor, I would change the process, how we do that, and get those projects out of there, because I've done it before.
All right, thank you. We had a bonus question from. Oh, I thought you'd be thankful. I don't know. I mean, okay, all right. Can't please everybody. Go ahead. Right.
I've been attending to listening.
Mr. Benny. I love him.
Low income people is not included. Now the question is for either one of you to answer this question. Louder.
All right.
Okay, I've been very attentive
We
listening
heard
to
you.
you. Okay.
Yeah, we
I
heard
have a question for either one of you. Now, would you all consider manufactured home for the low income people? Because of that question is, none of you have spoken about the low income people.
Great question. We've talked a lot about housing, so here's another specific policy proposal from this gentleman. Manufactured housing, yay or nay? Take them in turn. Go ahead, Ms. Zuniga, just so we can be consistent. All right.
Yes, definitely. Again, we need to have a diversity of housing types. Desperately need to. Manufactured homes have actually come a really long way over the last 10 years. The technology's gotten amazing. A lot of different things, even the kind of where they do part manufacture, but then part of it poured concrete. It's like a little bit of tandem thing. We've seen those be done by ATHChat. I think we definitely need exploring those and removing some of that unnecessary red tape that is in our planning department. And honestly, if we go really look at it, a lot of these things go back to redlining. I mean, they were straight up racist and classist. They didn't want to have affordable housing in certain places, so it was not allowed intentionally. So we desperately need to be able to do that, allow tiny houses that are also manufactured. We need to have that diversity and that missing middle. That's one way for us to do it, so I support it.
Thank you, Mr. Denson. Let's just go down the line. Mr. Fisher?
Sure, I agree with Tim on that. And I think Habitat has already done one manufactured home on the property they have done already. So that's going to be their model moving forward, doing manufactured homes for those individuals that are trying to get homes. I think that's a great idea. And again, I think we have to look at where we're putting those homes at. Because again, we always get pushback. We want to put homes that are different than what that community may look like. So we need to be smart about where we're going to put those manufactured homes. I'm glad that Habitat took on that initiative, start using manufactured homes for their building. Who's to say that with the Athens Housing Authority, with the 11 lots that they got left, they may do the same thing. But again, those opportunities are there. They're starting to happen in this community. I think it's a great start with what Habitat has done.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Dr. Gann?
Yes, I would like to say it is very important that we consider our lower income, fixed income, all of our vulnerable, what I would consider vulnerable populations. I want to note here as well, we have talked about the experience that's on the podium tonight. There are opportunities on Tuesdays when action is taken for this information and these actions to be brought forth before the commission. When we talk about how we've done things before in the past, that it was redlining and I think classist and racist, I think was the word used. We have to stop otherizing. We can't say, okay, well, that was classist and that was racist. Well, no, we have not done anything to prevent it. And we've been in the positions to be able to bring this mobile community, modular home community to our agenda. But we have not done that. So what I'm asking you to do, you have to listen very carefully to what people say they are going to do when they've had time to do it.
5, 2, 1. Okay. Ms. Zuniga, manufactured homes, yay or nay?
So I wanted to be the last one because the gentleman that spoke up actually came up with a solution. Benny Coleman came up with a solution for 100 manufactured homes that were affordable. He met with people. We talked with people. He sent his plans to the commissioners, all of them. He met with engineers in the county that have been developing properties. We went out to see locations where we could put them. Mr. Payne back there, who's in construction, put his time to go look for properties. There's nothing that we did not do, that he did not do. He brought people from different areas of the community, and zero. There was no effort. That's why I left it last, to let you know that there are people out there trying to do the work. Not just one single person. A lot of people supported Mr. Benny Coleman from the community, but zero feedback from our local government. Zero help.
All right. So I know everybody just can't believe it, but it's time for closing statements.
Thank you, audience.
Yeah. A round of applause to you all. All right. Yeah. So, Mrs. Zuniga, you'll have the first chance at this. It'll be a 2-minute closing statement, and we'll keep you right at 2 minutes. So go ahead.
Well, I want to thank you. By now, you're probably just as tired as I am. I'm even more so tired because I've been doing this for the last 4 years. I have not seen things change. We have so many years of expertise here, data, experience. Bottom line is, you have to sit there and analyze. Am I better off right now than I was 4 years ago, 8 years ago? That's what you really have to think about, because there's so much experience up here. People are telling you, experience. You need a fresh new perspective here. You need an outsider that's a regular person. You need someone like you to be in office, and I am that person. I have not been in politics. I could care less about politics. All I care is about Athens and bringing some action. And I may not know the data because I don't care about that data. I believe that once we get into the local government, then I will sit down with people who have information that I need to make those analyses to make things work. I mean, we could spit out, data as much as we want. That's only going to put us in a box. And I don't think inside the box. I think outside the box. I bring people with different perspectives, people who want to make a difference, people who look at hurdles and say, oh, we can't do anything about it. No, someone who will say, we can do something about it. I've met so many people from different spectrums in the community that are so smart that it makes me wonder, why are they not working with the local government? It's because they want the same thinking people continuing to support the same thinking, and then they wonder why don't we have solutions. We need more different thinking people involved. Thank you.
Mr. Benson.
Thank you all. Want to thank Russell and Drew and their podcast for hosting this, and CNET, of course, and all of y'all for being here. This has been a great second great debate, honestly, and I'm appreciative that's happening. We're gonna say a lot of stuff here, but when it comes down to it, I think all of us care about Athens. I think we do. I absolutely love this community. I haven't lived here as long as some folks. I've lived here I moved here in 2004. I was the son of evangelical preachers down in Florida. Grew up very poor, experienced homelessness for a little bit of my life, but Athens has turned into an amazing home. And the people here have welcomed me in a way that I've never experienced in my life before. And because of that, I've decided that I wanted to really commit my life to this community. If I'm elected as mayor, I will bust my butt and do everything I can to make this community the best it can be, especially for those who are struggling and aren't getting the fair shake that they deserve. If I'm not elected, I'm going to do that too. When I ran for mayor in 2014, I got 40%. Didn't win, but that was my concession speech, was that there's more than one way to make an Athens for everyone that we absolutely love. So elect me, I'll work for you. Don't elect me, I'll work for you. The one thing that I think that the biggest criticism I got after that, during that election, was that I had a lot of great ideas. I'm hearing the same things here. Got a lot of great ideas, but I didn't have the experience. So I committed myself to that too. I served on the vision committee. Then went for the commission, went for the school board. 10 seconds. Tried to find every single way that I could serve this community, serving the homeless and working with them. Again, I hope I have your vote on May 19th. You can check out my website, Tim for Athens, and see my expansive platform. But if you don't elect me, I'll still be here for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fisher.
I'm going to stand up and sit down too long. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I think it was a great opportunity for you all to take a look at all four of us. And I hate that Sharon will have opportunity to sit up here because she's running also. And there may be others that may jump in. However, our government is complex. And this is not an on-the-job training position. You got to know how to connect the dots. You got to have leadership. You got to know what it takes to herd 10 people together and a staff to make sure we get things done. I'm the only candidate who has operated a large organization, have done budgets, have balanced budget. I work with the school system. I worked at UGA. All those was in leadership positions. I know how to get things done. Have always gotten things done. I've been volunteer on a number of nonprofits. I appreciate what Dr. Gant talked about. We talk about lived experience. Well, I lived some of the experience with some of those nonprofits. They do a yeoman's job for this community. So I've done the work. I have boots on the ground. So, I'm not a fly by night. 37 years that I've invested in this community. My family has invested in the community. And I'm going to be here. This is my home. It's where I raise my kids. My grandkids are. So it's important to me that as your next mayor, that when you lay down at night, who do you trust out of four of us? Who do you think, if there was an emergency, who's going to respond? I lived in COVID. I knew what it was like to live to go to have boots on the ground to make sure that our community was served, make sure that those kids got fed every day during the COVID season. So I understand that. I want to be a voice of reason. That's why I'm running. That's why I should be your next mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Dr. Gant.
All right, forgive me if I'm repeating something, but
You get the last word.
Yes, okay.
All right.
So,
Even though you didn't win rock, paper, scissors.
I know.
All right.
I, again, am Lakeisha. I'm a native of Athens, and I'm proud of that. I am a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm an employee, I'm a worker. I consider myself, and I hope people around me would consider me a servant leader. I grew up in poverty. It's just that I didn't know I was in poverty. Sometimes you don't know you're poor until other people, I guess, tell you you're poor. My mom worked as a CNA at St. Mary's when it used to be over here on Alps. It used to be a nursing home there. My grandma cleaned homes in the 5 Points area. And a few of the things they told me is to, one, go further than they did, but most importantly, they led by example, not by going further with education, but with how they impacted the people around them. I did not plan to be here. I didn't plan to run for mayor, but I believe Athens needs a person who is bold. In order to be an operational leader, do you know how much you have to sacrifice to do that? You have to sacrifice a lot, and you have to contribute to the status quo a good bit. We've had, having been here, my grandma, my family, we've had years of people telling us that it's going to get better, but then their actions tell us otherwise. You need a person who is bold. We've had decades to ask UGA to cooperate. We've had decades, and we have not. We've had decades to focus on our small businesses.
15 seconds.
We've had decades to focus on unheard communities. We have individuals that are incarcerated. We have people that are impacted by immigration.
5 seconds.
We have elderly communities. We've had decades to do that, but I am the candidate who is putting it forward as important. The governance teams and community groups and the work that I'm a part of,
1 millisecond.
you will see progress. You will see progress. And so I ask for your vote on May 19th.
Thank you, Dr.
All right. So we want to thank everyone here. It's another packed. What's the next largest theater?
The Morton.
The Morton. Well, I don't know.
Classic there.
Should we do like 10 more debates?
The arena!
Okay, so thank you all for being here, and this is actually a recorded episode that will be on our podcast, ATHChat, where you can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Russell, do you want to take us home?
Yep, so this is a wonderful theater, Athens Cine. They graciously allowed us to do this program here. I would be remiss if I don't mention that my wife is moderating a event tomorrow evening. I know there's a South American football game, but anyway, come back here tomorrow night for a local Athens film, Withdrawal, at 5:30 p.m. and Aries is going to be managing the Q&A. So support Cine. Let's go out and hang out at the bar and mill around, and we can talk more. Thanks, everybody.